Welcome back. Today we diving into one of the most iconic strategy RPGs, Shining Force. Released in 1992 for the Sega Genesis, Shining Force was developed by Camelot Software Planning. This strategic role-playing game became a defining title for both the genre and the console, blending traditional Japanese RPG elements with tactical grid-based combat, a mix that was relatively new at the time. For many players, Shining Force was their first foray into the world of tactical RPGs, offering a blend of deep story, character development, and strategy that was rare on consoles in the early 90s. Unlike many RPGs of its era that leaned heavily on complex statistics and lengthy, often cumbersome gameplay mechanics, Shining Force struck a balance that made it both accessible to newcomers and engaging for seasoned players. The game's bright, colorful graphics and anime-inspired art style immediately drew players in, offering a visual charm that stood out in a market crowded with more serious and gritty titles. With its blend of engaging story, strategic combat, and memorable characters, Shining Force remains a touchstone for retro gamers and RPG enthusiasts alike. It's a game that not only defined a genre, but also offered a unique experience that many still cherish to this day. Before we move on, hit that subscribe button and stay up to date on more deep dives into retro gaming. Shining Force is a classic tale of good versus evil, filled with memorable moments that captivated players back in the day. The narrative kicks off in the peaceful kingdom of Guardiana, a land brimming with lush landscapes and a history steeped in ancient legends. However, this tranquility is abruptly shattered when the evil empire of Runefaust begins its march across the continent, hell-bent on resurrecting an ancient evil that threatens to plunge the world into darkness. The game's story revolves around the young hero, Max, a swordsman with a mysterious past who finds himself thrust into the heart of the conflict. Max, though seemingly an ordinary warrior, is quickly revealed to be the leader the world desperately needs. After Runefaust's forces invade Guardiana, Max is tasked by the king with assembling a group of warriors to combat the looming threat. Thus, the Shining Force is born a ragtag team of knights, mages, archers, and mystical creatures, each with their own reasons for joining the cause. As the story unfolds, Max and his companions embark on a perilous journey to stop the forces of Runefaust, led by the enigmatic Dark Soul. If that name sounds familiar, that is because it is the same Dark Soul from Shining in the Darkenses. Dark Soul is not just any villain. He's a dark sorcerer with ambitions that go beyond mere conquest. His ultimate goal is to resurrect the Dark Dragon, a legendary beast of immense power that was sealed away centuries ago by the ancients. The resurrection of this creature would spell certain doom for the world, and it's up to the Shining Force to prevent this catastrophic event. Throughout the game, players are treated to a narrative that, while simple in its overarching themes, is rich in character development and plot twists. As Max travels from town to town recruiting new members to the Shining Force, players learn more about the histories and motivations of these characters. From the loyal centaur knight Ken, who joins to avenge his fallen comrades, to the mischievous mage Henri, who seeks to prove her worth as more than just a princess. Each character adds depth to the story and provides a reason to invest emotionally in their journey. The narrative of Shining Force may seem straightforward by today's standards, but it's this simplicity that gives it a timeless quality. It's a story that resonates with players because it's about more than just defeating a great evil. It's about friendship, growth, and the enduring power of hope. Alright, let's dive into the gameplay mechanics of Shining Force, which is where the game truly shines and has left a lasting impact on the tactical RPG genre. Shining Force offers a unique blend of traditional role-playing game elements with tactical grid-based combat, creating a gameplay experience that was both innovative and engaging for its time. At its core, Shining Force revolves around turn-based battles that take place on a grid, where positioning and strategy are key to victory. Players control a party of up to 12 characters at a time, each with their own distinct abilities, classes, and roles. The characters move across the battlefield, engage enemies, and use their special abilities in a system that feels like a blend of chess and classic RPG combat. The strategic depth is one of the defining aspects of the game, requiring players to think carefully about each move, considering factors like terrain, enemy placement, and the strengths and weaknesses of their characters. The game's battles are where most of the action happens, and they're designed to be both challenging and rewarding. Each battle is essentially a puzzle, with the player needing to figure out the best way to approach the enemy forces. The grid-based movement system is crucial, as it allows for a wide range of tactical possibilities. For example, terrain can play a significant role in determining the outcome of a battle. Characters moving through forests or mountains may have their movement range reduced, while flying characters like Blue the Dragon have the advantage of moving over any terrain without penalty. This adds an extra layer of strategy, as players must consider not just where to move, but also how the environment will affect their tactics. Another key element of gameplay is character progression. As characters participate in battles, they gain experience points for actions like attacking enemies, healing allies, or simply surviving the encounter. Once a character accumulates enough experience, they level up, which increases their stats such as attack power, defense, and hit points. This traditional RPG element is combined with a unique class promotion system, which becomes available once a character reaches level 10. Upon promotion, characters can transition into more advanced classes, significantly boosting their abilities and sometimes altering their appearance. Managing your party's composition is another essential aspect of gameplay, with up to 30 characters available for recruitment. Deciding who to bring into battle requires careful consideration. Each character has unique strengths and weaknesses, and part of the strategy involves balancing your team to cover all your bases, having strong melee fighters up front, ranged attackers for support, and healers to keep everyone in fighting shape. Over time, players may develop favorites or discover powerful synergies between certain characters, adding a personal touch to the game's strategy. The gameplay of Shining Force is a masterful blend of strategic depth, character progression, and exploration. It's this combination that has made the game a timeless classic, with mechanics that continue to influence tactical RPGs to this day. Whether you're carefully planning your next move on the battlefield or exploring a new town in search of recruits, Shining Force offers a gameplay experience that is both engaging and rewarding. The music of Shining Force was a key element that truly elevated the game's atmosphere and emotional impact. The soundtrack, composed by the talented Motoaki Takeuchi, is a blend of stirring orchestral pieces and catchy melodies that perfectly complement the game's epic storyline and strategic gameplay. While Shining Force may be remembered for its gameplay and characters, the music plays an equally crucial role in immersing players in its fantastical world. Motoaki Takeuchi, who was relatively early in his career during the production of Shining Force, managed to craft a soundtrack that not only fits the game's medieval fantasy setting, but also enhances the emotional resonance of key moments. Each piece of music is carefully composed to match the mood of the scene, whether it's the calm of a peaceful town, the tension before a big battle, or the thrill of victory after a hard-fought win. The game's main theme, which plays during the opening sequence, is an unforgettable piece that sets the tone right from the start. It's grand, heroic, and filled with a sense of adventure, immediately drawing players into the world of Guardiana. This theme recurs throughout the game, acting as a musical leitmotif that ties the narrative together and reminds players of the overarching quest they're on. It's the kind of melody that sticks with you long after you've turned off the console, a hallmark of a truly great video game soundtrack. While Shining Force was limited by the sound hardware of the Sega Genesis, Takeuchi's compositions managed to transcend these limitations. The Genesis synthesis sound chip, known for its distinctive and sometimes harsh tones, is used masterfully to create rich, multi-layered tracks that still sound impressive today. The music of Shining Force is an integral part of what makes the game a classic. Motoaki Takeuchi's compositions not only enhance the gameplay, but also deepen the emotional connection players have with the story and characters. Whether it's the rousing battle themes or the serene town music, the soundtrack is a masterpiece of video game music composition, helping to cement Shining Force as one of the most beloved titles in the Sega Genesis library. When Shining Force was released in 1992, the tactical RPG genre was still in its infancy, particularly in the West. The game introduced many players to the concept of grid-based combat combined with traditional RPG elements, fusion that was innovative for its time. While games like Fire Emblem had already established the genre in Japan, Shining Force played a crucial role in bringing this style of gameplay to a global audience, particularly in North America and Europe, where tactical RPGs were still relatively unknown. Shining Force was also notable for its character-driven storytelling and the sense of attachment it fostered between players and their party members. The diverse cast of characters, each with their own abilities, personalities, and backstories, was a significant departure from the more generalized character classes found in many other RRGs of the time. This focus on individual characters and their development influenced later games, not just in the Shining Force series, but across the genre as a whole. Games like Final Fantasy Tactics and Disgaea would later build on this foundation, offering even more intricate character development and storytelling within a tactical framework. Beyond its own sequels, Shining Force also had a broader impact on Sega's RPG lineup. The success of the series helped establish Sega as a serious contender in the RPG market, particularly during the 16-bit era when the genre was dominated by Nintendo's Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest series. While Sega's RPG library never quite reached the same heights, Shining Force was a key part of the company's strategy to offer a diverse range of gaming experiences on the Genesis and beyond. In 2004, Sega released a remake of the original Shining Force for the Game Boy Advance, titled Shining Force: Resurrection of the Dark Dragon. This remake updated the graphics, added new content, and introduced gameplay refinements, bringing the classic game to a new audience. While it didn't achieve blockbuster success, it served as a reminder of the game's enduring appeal and introduced the Shining Force experience to players who may have missed the original release. The legacy of Shining Force is one of innovation, influence, and lasting appeal. The game not only introduced many players to the joys of tactical RPGs, but also helped shape the development of the genre in the years that followed. Its impact can still be felt today, both in the games it inspired and in the hearts of the fans who continue to celebrate its rich world and strategic gameplay. Shining Force remains a shining example of what makes retro gaming so special, a timeless experience that continues to inspire and entertain even decades after its release. Thank you for joining us. If you like this deep dive into the retro world of Shining Force, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, keep questing and keep gaming.